Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Excuse me, I just spilled something 2 seconds before I came on. Hopefully, everybody is okay. Hopefully, sound looks like it's working. It looks like I've got image. I have some folks in the house already. I have a topic today. This is a question, and we'll get to questions and greets and everything else in just a little bit here. But let's literally cover this topic because I don't know how many times someone's brought up this specific thing. If you're listing on eBay, you got to follow eBay's rules. If you're listing on Amazon, the same thing. You follow Amazon rules. Etsy rules. If you're through Shopify, you have to follow the standards of the Shopify platform. Again, you have to follow the standards of any payment processor that you use. So whether you have your own site or you're selling on someone else's platform, at the end of the day, they do control the keys to get you online. They can shut you down. That is a fact, but everybody follows the same rules. So a big company basically has the same rules. Their internet provider has those same locked-in rules. They're all pretty much the same. Whoever you're going through, whichever service you're using, whoever handles your servers or your storage for your website or whatever the case may be, all follows those rules. Now, I know there's some in other countries that get away with it, and you can DNS. There's a bunch of stuff you can do to, mitigate that in other countries. But if someone's going to want to buy from you or, do business with you in any way, shape, or form, I personally would never do business with somebody that I have to do some cloaking activity to. And again, there's nothing wrong with cloaking or hiding or tunneling or, any of the other stuff that you can do to hide who you are. I'm not saying that aspect's wrong, but I don't want to do that for a business contact or to worry about selling something. So again, it all comes back to you are technically tied by the rules of the platform that you are on. Now, there's some things you can do to cover yourself, though, which would be having copies of everything, having, CSV files that you can literally upload to any platform you want, that you can dump into another platform or your own or whatever the case may be. There could be some time when one site goes down. They shut down permanently or they're bought out or major changes happen or they collapse financially. You never know what's going to happen. So I own my stuff. I make sure I have a copy of everything that's literally shown online down to the photos and the images. The whole works, everything, titles, breakdowns, categories. A CSV file literally will have all the information tied across basically it'll line up all the titles in one column, all the categories that are the same in another, and you can pump it out somewhere else from there. Now, if, say, something switches and you got to send them to a different site, you can move them column by column so that they line up. Each column means that there was a comma, 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 so you can move those around to adjust exactly where they're going to go when you upload them to another site. So, I mean, it's doable. You save your stuff, you save your photos, pop them on. I use a Blu-ray disc that we store everything on. It's the most economical, I guess. And I can store a ton of photos from, a lot of listings on one. It's 25 gigabytes, I think, is what each one holds. It's like almost 5.5 times what a CD-ROM or a CD or any of the other type DVD storage or anything else you may be using. Just FYI if you do stuff like that. But that's the best thing to cover yourself. There is no 100% way to keep your presence online if something happens. I'm going to say that right now because no matter what, there's always a shut-off point if you're doing something wrong. Again, that's why it comes down to follow the rules on wherever you're at. If the rules are too much with using a site, don't use the site anymore. That's all I can tell you. It could be detrimental, though, to your revenue because let's say I'm forced off eBay for some whatever reason, and I'm forced to go to a smaller site with less traffic. I'll lose revenue. It doesn't matter if I can pump them back up onto another site in a relatively short period of time because I got backups. The point of it is, though, that the traffic would be the issue. If you can't get traffic to your listings, you're not going to sell as many of your listings. I want to do a call out to a site Now, I have no affiliation. I have nothing to do. I don't get money or nothing else from them. But the HIP platform, I honestly have to say, them being adding in the other categories has really had my HIP platform revenue triple in just the time since I changed it over, and it's upped and pumped my listings to like 18,000. I think is what we're at on HIP right now, and sales are coming in from other site. They're not as good as eBay, of course, but big advancement in my book. It's a considerable amount if this stays throughout the year. And again, we're in summer, and I'm still selling pretty darn good for another site much smaller than eBay. So again, this is like running your stuff. This is something that I have control over. I can put it somewhere else. Thank goodness eBay allows it. And yes, this is allowed. eBay has authorized this company to be able to pull them out. Now, I'm sure at the end of the day, HIP is giving eBay a percentage of revenue or kickback, whatever you want to call it, commission fee, service fee. They may have to pay that whether they sell enough to cover the amount sold through it. But regardless, the revenue and the difference has been a big change. I was really surprised. I didn't expect a whole lot once I only was stuck with postcards. I've seen the Bonanza results, and those are pitiful, and some of the other folks who have tried similar items on Etsy and stuff like that. This is actually well worth my time, energy, and if they add more stuff on it, I'm game too, because it's the behind Amazon, eBay, and Etsy. This is the next one on my list. This is number 4 in my bank of let's use another site, and I use Discogs and things like that. I'm not saying I don't do well on those, but HIP has been HIP's newer. I shouldn't say newer, but this is a new thing, adding on all this other stuff. It could churn into something much bigger, is my thinking. We've sold enough to, pay for all of our bills for an entire month in a little length of time off of HIP. I can't complain. So if you have vintage postcards, a quantity, may not be worth it if you don't have quantity, but vintage postcards, advertising papers like Victorian trade cards and things like that, they auto-import. You don't have to do a darn thing. It's a button click authorizing them from the HIP platform. It'll take you to eBay. You click a couple buttons, and then boom, you'll see your listings just instantly go over. And the one thing I will never do is cross-post on sites that don't automatically take the item down or designate it some way. So HIP does that. It'll end your item and put the word sold for the very first word in front of the title. So it'll be in your ended unsold listings on your page or on your in your hub. So, that's excellent. You can't ask for anything more. And I know people with Bonanza, and Bonanza does this and that, but I've never had any results like this on Bonanza. And, I don't see the traffic, I guess. I've looked at the trending. I've looked at the traffic reports. And, again, I've got videos showing you how to do that yourself if you want to look into that yourself as well. The data backs it up for me, at least. I feel I would be more comfortable with HIP either way at this point, just because we've done it now for a few years, and it's been nothing but a constant, steady stream up. So anyway, I know that's a little off topic, but that could be helpful to many people. I know personally, I've talked to 5 or 6, plus there's comments and stuff, that have personally done that and instantly had enough to pay like months worth of fees on the site on the very first day they imported them in. It's just like if you listed a whole bunch of stuff on eBay in the same day, you're going to get some sales. And that's what happened to me. Even like the day I reactivated my API and authorization and the token on eBay. It's a token is what if you're already on HIP, if you didn't know that, there's a token you'll have to reload and then resend it back over so that it will reactivate the other categories. If you haven't done that and you were on HIP before, it's only going to still show the ones. You have to go back in and authorize them to pull from new categories is the basic gist of it. So FYI. Back to here for just a minute, and then we'll do some shout outs, and if there's any questions, we'll go from there. Your best bet on covering and actually trying to own everything that's yours without being able to shut out is to not put all your eggs in one basket. This has been more apparent now with, excuse me, I've been talking all day. I had some phone conversations and a big discussion over a potential deal with somebody. But I totally lost my train of thought on that. That's terrible. Excuse me, folks. I do apologize. Let me get another drink here. But don't put all your eggs in one basket is the bottom line. With all the stuff and the dings and stuff that's happening for changes in policy, which again, I don't have any problem with what eBay does. They do what they do. I should take that back. I have problems with how they do it and what they do, but I'm just going to go along with it because of revenue. It's a business decision for me. Just like me doing Amazon or HIP, it's all business. I'm making enough revenue on it that any grief at this point is way outweighed by the money coming back in. You know, I don't feel like I'm selling my soul to the devil because the platform itself is good. It's just the people running it, in my opinion, don't have a clue. But anyway, if you spread your stuff out, though, on a couple of platforms, if something happens to one, you still have your business. I guess that's the biggest factor there. I've talked about Shopify, and we've already got it all set back up. I'm not sharing anything yet with it, but you don't have to use your own site. You can use Shopify as the bridge. So let's say you're on eBay right now, not owning, your own business. If you're just on one site, you have no control. eBay can shut you down in a snap of their fingers for just wanting to check your information. And I've seen it. There's probably a dozen videos on YouTube that people have called out to me for other YouTubers who do eBay and have done it for decades, who have been shut down over just really simple stuff that they never would explain why they did it, random checks and stuff like that. I don't know about you, but I'd be a little steamed if they wanted to check my banking information and shut me down for 2 or 3 days, because that's a lot of revenue for anybody. There's no compensation, of course, if this has happened, but somebody will probably know one of the ones I'm talking about. There was one recently from the UK that someone pointed to me, and I've seen a couple of their videos in the past, and they seem like honest and real resellers, not some of the BS I see on some channels. But if you use like Shopify, you take your eBay store, you link it up with Shopify. You can use InkFrog, which would be my personal recommendation to connect eBay to Shopify. And then from Shopify, you just turn on the Amazon channel. You can hook up Etsy and some other platforms as well. Just don't turn on your Shopify. You just use the like a router. You're using your Shopify store as a router. You don't activate it, so no one will ever see it. No one will ever know you got a Shopify if you don't want the aspect of having your own store. But if you still want to have the connection, the ability for it to take something down, AutoSync's the only thing I will do anymore. I'm not going to go to another site and use an app that's going to just push my material to another site and not alter my quantity. If it doesn't alter your quantity and you get big and you get more stuff in, pardon me, but you're screwed. You're screwed. Hang on just a second here. Linda Taylor, well, thank you very kindly for the super chat. Thank you very, very, very kindly. I have to have another screen to my left with it blown really up for me to see it much better, so I do apologize. We'll go and holler out some names and stuff in just a few minutes here, but again, thank you very kindly, Linda Taylor. This is seriously my thoughts and how I feel. This isn't like contrived. I don't take any notes. This is just straight out of my thoughts. You got to do it, though, in my opinion, if you want to be covered. If all of your revenue comes from selling on one platform, what happens on those days? What happens if you mess up by accident? There's a lot of things you can do by accident and mess up, and it could hurt you, shut you down, or something like that. I'm not in the slightest bit saying eBay isn't worth being on, or, pardon me, eBay or anything like that. I have no interest in any of that conversation. I'm more interested in growing my business. I don't look at eBay as my only source because I have revenue from other places. It's not my only venue for revenue coming in. And I honestly, sincerely feel that that's the best bet. Having multiple sources of income from multiple streams is the best and safest way to truly own your business, because they may, it's like a whack-a-mole. They may knock down one of your things for saying something stupid or whatever the case may be, listing something that you didn't know or whatever. It can happen. And the only way to mitigate it is to be covered. Having eggs all over the place in different baskets instead of just one basket with all your eggs in there. And that's the only true way to be as close to 100% owning every aspect of your business as possible. A corporation relies on other services and stuff too. No matter what, even if you think they're so big that they own everything, they still have third parties that they have to rely on, like the hack that just happened with the government and many big corporations that released tons of our information. This is a third party that these big companies used and relied on to do part of their services. They contracted out part of their business, and so that was their issue with it. So wherever you're at, whoever you are, you have the same issues. Just my take on it. There's no real way to mitigate that, though. Let me see here. Make sure. I have with Shopify. I just it's $30 a month. My Shopify. That's what it's $29.99 or something like that. I think is the bottom end, and then between Shopify and InkFrog, it's $59.95. I think is the exact amount. So an extra $60 a month. I'm paying $240 less a month on eBay because of the changes they made. So I'm still ahead, and I have more access. And it even, for the same amount I was just paying for eBay, I can expand to Etsy and a bunch of other places with a considerable amount of product, as well as Amazon. I can instantly add a ton of product too. I'll have to mitigate the categories and then map them together, but I've done it. I've got videos on that already up here. It's very, very simple, I have to say. For those in Patreon, before I forget, there is a new video up. It went up today. I was literally in the middle of answering email questions on there, and I got a 504 error in the host. The whole Patreon site was down. I don't know if it's back up now. So if you couldn't get to the site, just be patient. I've never had it be down more than just a few moments ever in all these years I've been on it. This was the longest I've ever seen it. No idea what's going on, but they're usually very, very good on that. So there is a decent video up now. I spent some time, and it goes into multiple questions related to volume and revenue, comparing them. But anyway, there will also be a live show coming up for the Patreon as well. And there's another contest announcement coming out. So just FYI. Excuse me for looking back and forth. Let's do some call outs while I'm off topic here. Duncan, yep, happy Easter as well. If you have Easter stuff up, you should have been selling it already, just in all honesty. We've sold a bunch of Easter cards through HIP. Etsy is still selling them very, very, very steadily, and eBay. I think a few even on Amazon, but overall, Easter stuff was up like 45% prior from the month last. Because again, you can check that all. You can just type in Easter on a search result and figure it out fairly easily. And the sold listings, any of the data like that, you should be able to figure out what category selling per month. It'll take you a little bit of time to figure out what to do, but you can search through solds and stuff like that. Your own store from your the second page over, or the second tab over your. I guess it's your sold page. But anyway, most of the stuff in there is readily available. Oh, they did add a new report page. I think most people should have it, that has everything on one page for you now. I'll probably have a video on that one explaining everything you would need to pull for your taxes in a monthly report too. I have a couple copies of a spreadsheet that I'll probably pop up in Patreon as well, but I will cover all the reports here in a real video real soon here on YouTube, just FYI. April Fool. Yeah, they're never leaving managed payments unless they get some massive great deal, Duncan. Hopefully everything's well in Australia with you there, Duncan. Let's see. Bob, hey Bob, how you doing this evening? Got Marty right below. How you doing, Marty? Hopefully your channel is going well. I have not had a chance to pop in there, but Marty's got a new channel out. It's been up for, I don't know, 3 weeks or something in that range. I've known Marty for quite some time. I've even seen some other videos with Marty in them. So, big Beatles fan, aren't you, Marty? Disgruntled Octopus, how are you doing? Good to have you in the house as well. And thank you, Bob. Donald's Discoveries, welcome, welcome, welcome. Pamela Sabana, how are you doing? Sunday Fun Day. Hello back at you. Elmer, how are you doing as well? Ron Ronson, I'm going to move this just so I don't look like I'm turning all weird here. I have some vision issues, so I have to make all the text larger, and I can't do it on the screen that I'm watching because it can't be, I can't move it around right. But anyway, Carissa, how are you doing? Carissa Powell from North Carolina. We have relatives in there. Hang on just a second here. Sheila Tullo, how are you doing? From VA. Lived in VA for a little while, 3 years, I think it was. Alexandria. My youngest son was born at the Fairfax Hospital in Virginia. Just FYI. Each one of the 4 members of my family has a different birth certificate from a different state. Each one of us, which is weird, but that's us. Brickhouse Salvage and Antiques. Well, welcome. Thank you very kindly for the $10 super chat. Very, very gracious of you. Say thank you for all the great info. I appreciate it. Trying to sell jewelry on top of all my other stuff, and you have been a huge help. Well, thank you very kindly. Thank you very kindly. I do appreciate that, Brickhouse Salvage and Antiques. Steve Forjax. That's a long name on there, but it pretty much gives all the information out, so smart enough. Thanks again, though. Hang on, let me get back to Rose. Welcome, welcome. I got you, Sheila. Brett Lott, how are you doing? Maryland. When you go over, Laurel, Maryland, the best the best thrift store, geez, I can't remember the name of it. Right off the Beltway, Laurel, Maryland, there's a thrift store. It was on the left side when you're exiting to the right off the Beltway. Community Thrift or something. It was a big store. That was like the best thrift store I've ever been to in my entire life. Every time we went there, we made like $1,000. This has been 15, 20 years ago, but it's up on a hill. It's a big white building. Geez, I wish I could remember the name of that place, but fond memories going there. We used to go to Fort Washington when we only had one child. Kathy Ambler, how are you doing this evening? Yeah, that heart pin, I think that's French. I may have an answer. I haven't checked my email, honestly, but I may have an answer on that one for you, Kathy. I haven't heard back from him yet, but he knows more on those French things. Maybe it's not French. Maybe it is a Spanish one, but either way, it's an interesting one. The date I gave you is probably pretty straightforward on that one, I would say. Again, welcome and thank you very kindly, Brickhouse Salvage and Antiques. Let's see here. When is the best time to start expanding to more than one platform? I wouldn't do it if you just have, 100 or 200 items that are, not super, super movers. It also depends on what you're selling. You can't sell certain items on certain platforms. There's many things I can't sell on Amazon. There's many things I can sell that most people can't because I'm fully ungated in historical, collectibles, entertainment. And there's one other. I got another vintage toys. I got records and movie-related items and stuff like that I can sell. I can sell DVDs used and stuff like that too. But the point is it depends on what you're selling and the quantity. When we open up our Shopify, it's going to be when I have a certain quantity of certain items because I'm going to use those to pull and push traffic to my store. I was on Dom's. We had a show the other day on Dom's. What was it? Tuesday night. And we talked about certain things you can do. One of the things I hear a lot is with Shopify, you can't get traffic there, and there's no way to draw people to your store. It depends on what you're selling and how much of it you're selling and stuff like that. I've been dealing with buttons and some other categories here, and what's happening is it's turned into a snowball, like a perpetual. It's drumming up its own business, so to speak, because I've dominated a category in a certain small niche. They're small, but I've got a bunch of them now. And when you go to a Chrome search for anything even related to these buttons and stuff, I show up on the entire first second. I mean, I'm dominating all the pages on there. If you go to eBay, solds, the same thing. There are some things you can do that are like, it's a given almost. eBay and Google are working well together these days. The results are showing that. Trending's doing fine on the keywords and the whole works too. So there's more to it, I guess. It's an involved process, but everything is out there for everybody to figure out. I had to figure all this out too, so I may put a video together on some more of this too. Things that I get questions on. Let's get to some more questions, because I know I never get to them all. Brett, what is HIP? HIP is a trifold of sites. You've got HIP postcards, HIP stamps, and HIP comic books. I use HIP. I use them all, actually, now that you mentioned. I just haven't been using HIP stamps because I haven't been listing any stamps. And what they do is they auto-link to eBay. Literally, you just click a couple buttons, and all those listings in very specific categories appear instantly on HIP. The same thing for comic books. Oh, I'm going to try the non-sport trade card possibly this weekend, the link from eBay, to see if they'll pull in comics and the cards. And I may have to refresh the key, but if they've added the categories to HIP's postcards, they might have done it to HIP comics, and there are some other key tie-ins that possibly could be done in HIP stamps. Say if HIP stamps offers the ability to pull coins or list coins in general, my coins are going on to HIP in a minute. The second I hear that might be a thing, I'm going to be looking into that, because that would be the next best alternative right now for non-slabbed coins, would be them. Just my personal opinion from what we're selling. With like, you can list coins on Amazon, but I wouldn't list any coins on Amazon that weren't slabbed, in my personal opinion. I just wouldn't want the hassle or aggravation with returns and with their return policy on Amazon. Just FYI. I wouldn't want to, I'd want them all sealed and holographed and in the whole works. But anyway, that's just my take on that. Yeah, it is April Fool's Day, is it not? See, I don't mess with holidays too much anymore. Certain ones, of course, I do, but I don't mess with, certain ones or this, that, and stuff like that. April Fool's Day, it's a normal day for me. My mind is literally only focused on the business aspect or family. Those are my two concerns, and that's it. No TV, no nothing like that, Unless it's family time and we're watching a movie together or something, but... Amazon Seller 99, how are you doing? Cher Barra, how are you doing? Happy Thursday. Well, good to hear. Yeah, Dom's a real good friend. I talk to Dom fairly often. Not as much these past little while. I can't see the text on my phone very easily, so until I take my contacts out at night, and I'm forced to wear them to see. But anyway, it's the only corrective measure I have that's helped anything. But anyway. Flippinocchio, how are you doing? That's an interesting one. Good name choice. Where are we at? Well, Catlam, thank you very kindly as well. Can you talk about hiding your sold closed sales, pros, cons? I am not hiding them. There's some sites, some things I probably would say I hide, like my other stores. I don't share any of that. Again, I don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have a secondary account and stuff like that. It's all legal. eBay's fine with it. They know who we are. They know we're using it. We don't bid on each other's accounts or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Just FYI. But if you mess up really bad and do something stupid on one, they can shut you all down. Just keep that in mind. I use it because third-party apps, and we've talked about it. I have a video showing how to do this as well, too. I use it because third-party apps in some cases cannot end a listing, so they can change the quantity. And if you hook up, say, Shopify, you would probably just want to change the quantity. And that's why I initially started it, was because of Shopify. Just FYI. So with a third-party app that can't end your listing like HIP can, you want to have some way to still have it mitigate so it can drop the quantity down to 0 instead of ending it. That's the option that it gives you. I use some strange connections. I have some other sites, some other APIs that we use off the side, and I have some special needs to do certain things, so I do have to do things like that. What the option is that Cat Lam is asking about, it's called, what's it, 0, I should keep a screen open here, but it's called zero quantity. When you go to site preferences in eBay, it's up, it's like in the first 2 or 3 options. If you click it, it literally changes every one of your listings. You can't do it, a couple here, a couple there. It does them all. And when something sells, well, if you sell a quantity, it's going to just lower your quantity. If you sell the last one, it lowers the quantity to 0. The item does not go to sold because it's just live with a quantity of 0. It's still there. It's still active. It's still a listing that someone could see and look at. Now, eBay does state that they have the option to make that invisible. That is in the user agreement. No problem. I'm fine. There's no quantity. Who cares? One of the pros that I would have to say is, let's say someone buys it and then they never pay. You would usually lose it. It would go to sold. That listing, if you had, let's say it has 10 watchers, it's a hot item, you'd have to go through getting those watchers back without this option. Now, let's say that person never pays. All I got to do is go back in and add quantity of 1. Those same watchers are still there because that listing never disappeared. It didn't go to solds. That's the take on it, I guess. It's still active. A lot of people, if it's sold or something, and they've been watching and it's gone, they'll get rid of it and you won't see it. This way it's still active. They may not realize it. And then when I add one, I do believe it sends a notice, or an item you're watching now has a quantity or something like that. I've got notices similar to that. That's a big plus, because maybe 1 out of 100 purchases may not go through for whatever stupid reason. That's what I have to worry about. And if one with HIP, if you're using HIP to have it do your solds, I do not delete my sold, the listing that's on my that's in the ended on eBay, until I'm mailing that card out or whatever it is on HIP. I make sure that the sale goes through. You never know. I never delete anything at all and have to worry about it later. I always wait till it's in the mail before I address it. Another good plus with stuff like that. Let's say your item was returned. You'll have to relist it, most of the time on eBay. This way, there's always a quantity. Again, you still have your watchers. It's a necessity depending on what you're doing. If you don't want the item to ever show up in solds, once it goes to quantity of 0, you just delete the listing. And it'll never show up in solds. It will show up. Somebody else pointed this out as well. It will show up, though, on Terapeak. But it's never tied to you or anybody else. So there's no way to know who sold it. That's, I guess, the point on it. Because after 90 days, you can't look at the listings on Terapeak, so you'd never know who was the seller on the item. Just FYI. That's the only way you can hide your stuff. But yes, people do use that feature. Let's say I'm doing RA and I found some hot item out there, and I don't want my competitors to know what's going on, and I don't want people to be able to check the solds and stuff like that. That's how you would do it. You'd block the ability, and the minute you're done with quantity, you delete your listing, so it would never end. At a certain point, eBay would roll these into, I think it's after 90 days of no new quantity added, they can stick it through, I think it goes to archive or something. I think that's what it does. I never went past that point to worry about it, but anyway. So as long as you're paying attention, it's a good service, a good added benefit for using that feature. That's why I would use it. But again, third-party apps is why it's on there. If you're enjoying the conversation, I got 116 people in house. Please hit the thumbs up on there. Got 29 thumbs up and 116 people in house today. It's a slow day. I'm sure people are doing things this day as well too. I can't get it to clear off to go back. There we are. Let me pop down to some more, see if we got any questions. Do not use Shopify Lite, as I said. I think I'm way off on where I was. Just an FYI, Amazon Seller 99, your show didn't show on my YouTube homepage for some reason, like it always does. I think you have to post the link on my end more than 12 hours in advance for it to do that. And I'm terrible on promoting the show. I know I should do better on that, but I think it doesn't post out because there's an option on my end that I can have it post notices out at the 12-hour point before the show. I should just really do it ahead of time. I know Dom does that. I think he posts his a day in advance, but I'm literally running from the minute I get up usually, or bouncing around doing something for 12 hours, and it slips in my mind. I should have just write it down, but when I put a postie down, I always do it, whatever it is. Posties work great for me, but yeah, this I didn't put up the link till like 2 hours before the show. That's probably me. Rose Smith, Shopify had up that they would move my information over automatically from eBay. You're saying I wouldn't necessarily have to open Shopify, but work Amazon and Etsy through it. I was a little worried. Okay, Rose, with Shopify, you can get the eBay channel. It's the eBay API from Shopify. So you would just get Shopify and click add the channel for eBay API. The problem with that, maybe they changed it, but as far as I know they haven't, is that with the API, it's limited to a very specific amount of categories or specific categories, and that API does not allow you to do make an offer. And most of my items are sold through make an offer. That's why I didn't use Shopify's. The next problem with that, if you create a listing in Shopify for your eBay store, once you create it that way, if let's say you drop Shopify and you decide that's not what you want to go along with and you change it or whatever the case may be, the listings that you created through Shopify from everybody I've talked to and the ones that I tested, I'd have to go back in and sell similar every one to get the listings to be a normal eBay listing again, because it's created through Shopify and there's very specific things that it does. Just like if you make a listing in InkFrog, there's a SKU number that shows up only on the ones from InkFrog. That's done because it's a third-party app, basically. So there's differences when you do things like that. Hang on, I just lost where the rest of the question. Hang on just a second, I'm sorry. I want to get back and get to the rest of the question. You would still have to have Shopify to use that option, but Shopify allows you to have a channel. You don't have to use the channel aspect. What you would do is you would import all your listings into Shopify. There's services that will do it, but InkFrog was probably, I think, the best bet to go through InkFrog. But you'd import them into there. You just wouldn't make your page live ever. You would just use it for a bridge. It would just bring the items in. It would be the central point. You could create listings in Shopify. You could do everything you want. You could just turn off the channel. In Shopify, how Shopify works, if you've got 10 different channels hooked up on Shopify, there's one page, there's one setting for channels. It literally says channels. And it'll show all the sites you can list every single item on in your store. And you just click a little box. You click a radio box, and it puts a check in there. Everywhere you have a check, your items will show up live and active. So you just don't put a check on your Shopify store itself. But it still links. It's still there. No one can see it but you. So you don't have to mess with that aspect. All you're using that for, in this case, without making your own site and all that, would be for your syncing of your inventory. I would pay $30 a day or $30 a month any day of the week to make sure that my inventory was synced between channels, between Amazon and eBay, between Etsy, eBay, and Amazon, and HIP, and all these other stuff, all meld together. So if I sell one, let's say I'm selling on 10 sites. We do get revenue from more than 10 sites. I sell one item on one of those sites. If I've got that same item on every one of my sites, I've got to go to 9 other sites and take that down manually if I don't have some sort of syncing set up for it. The syncing is Shopify. So don't think of, I got to have a site, I got to have my own webpage. If that's not you don't want your own webpage. You want the ability, though, to sync. That's what Shopify does. I've tried a bunch of other ones. We've spent, a year of our time trying to pick the best one. And so far, Shopify has been the most simple, convenient. I just didn't have enough time. And with all the other stuff going on, we did call it before Christmas and temporarily halted it. That's all we did. My fault. I should have started way more in advance. I shouldn't have been nervous about stepping into it. It's only $60 a month, with InkFrog and Shopify. Now, there's one more option I'll give you there, Rose, on that whole thing. If you just want to be on Amazon and eBay, InkFrog will do that. You don't even need Shopify. If you don't care about your own store, you just want to link eBay to Amazon. The top two technically sites, kind of. Shopify did overtake eBay overall. But you could instantly do that with Shopify or with InkFrog. InkFrog has a feature. You can do two things on InkFrog. Either you can hook up eBay to Amazon, whether you're option 1, or option 2, you can hook up your eBay through InkFrog to Shopify, and then just use Shopify to hook up to anywhere else you may wish to go to. Walmart's on Shopify, Etsy, Discogs. Somebody created an app. I haven't checked into it again. Somebody did send me a link the other day with Shopify. Anything you need with the Shopify, there's an app for. You go to a store, and there's like 4,200, I think, when I looked last. 4,200 little apps you can add. Some of them are monthly services, some are one-time charges and things like that. But you would add them to your store, and it would take care of your taxes, for example. Or you can add shipping. Shopify does own email services and all that sort of thing too. So, just FYI. If you have your own site, I just purchased mine through Google, is what I've always done. I picked out, the package deal and all that stuff. It's pretty reasonable. You can get email, so your sitename.com with your email address to send it to you. It's all there. You can set it all up relatively easy on your own these days anyway. Hopefully that answers a little bit of that. I know that was roundabout, but let's see if I can get... There we go. I've been wanting... Let me pop down here. Donald's Discoveries. I've been wanting to expand and start using Etsy and Amazon, but I only have 150 listings on eBay at the moment. I think that would... This opinion, this is what I would personally do. Let's just put it that way. I'm not trying to tell you what you should do, because everybody's different. I don't know where you're at, even with that amount of listings. But if I had 150 listings, I would not be branching out yet. I'd wait till I got a considerable amount and at least had my feet wet on that site first. Because if you branch out too soon, you're going to be investing time not into getting merchandise and understanding the selling, the titling, the keywords. You're going to be spending time learning sites that will take time away from you starting to gain revenue coming in. Your number one goal at 150 listings, in my opinion, should be to get constant turnover and to expand the amount and increase your revenue. If you're going up, 10-15% a month over last, increase in revenue coming in, you're heading in the right direction. Again, if those 150 items are $400 items, that might be a different story. You might have a better take on it that way. If you, say, have RA items or something, you might get 20 or 30% more out of them selling them on Amazon versus eBay. eBay will be the easier choice. It'll be easier to get on. You're not, gated and things like you may be on Amazon. That's my take on that. Again, we've been on Amazon for probably 5 years, I want to say, at this point, selling as a seller on Amazon. We got thousands of stuff up there, but we've been on there for quite some time. Been on a lot of other platforms. We've been on Etsy for a very long time. Hip, going on like 2 years, something like that. And I've tried a bunch of others. Discogs we've been on for years. Discogs is a records-only site, basically. Let me put this out there for those who don't know what Discogs is. Discogs is not really a reselling site at all, in my book. What Discogs is a database that happens to have the ability to sell stuff on there. Discogs sales for records are probably, for most people, would probably be your second best site to sell a record on, would be Discogs. Depending on what you're selling, though. Amazon, some items sell much better record-wise there than they ever would on Discogs, and I usually sell higher dollar items on eBay versus Discogs as well. But Discogs, there's nothing wrong with Discogs. I do like Discogs. If you want any information on any type of record or to create a collection of everything you own and stuff in record fields, that's it. Everything's there. They're the predominant world factor encyclopedia on music in my book. And right along with that, Pop Psych's pretty good too, because Pop Psych has a feature. Pop Psych's a research page basically for records, if you don't know what Pop Psych is. But Pop Psych has a feature up at the top. So if you don't find your record and you're trying to track down a price, you can click, geez, I wish I remember what it says. I just click, I know right where it's at, but there's another option. You can look at all records on it, and it'll tell you where they ranked and type of music many times. So even if you can't find a sale history, you can get a lot more information, and that will give you enough to track down the price usually on most any record. At least that's what I do. Let's pop back over. Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome, Steve Batten. What is it, 5,000? Patreon is back up. Well, thank you. I'll probably respond to a few more emails before I cut it off tonight. I've been up since like 6:30 this morning, so I'm probably going to cut it off probably shortly after the show, depending on how long we run. Just FYI. But I will be answering in the morning. I need to have everything done tomorrow. I do have an appointment for my peeps up here. I've got eye issues, as I said, but... Ron Ronson, much love from Arkansas. I've been to Arkansas before. We stayed at this huge lodge. A company I worked for put us up in a huge lodge. It's a big, huge, massive, like a 3-story log cabin overlooking a lake. It's really well known, too. I want to say the company, I didn't want to go. We were forced to go. But my room was like $1,100 a night or some crazy amount. I've never been in a place like that on my own. I'd never spend the money. But it was neat. I have to say, it was in the mountains, and it was truly a log cabin. But somebody might know what that place. It's huge. It's well known. I think most doctors would know that place because there's doctor retreats there all the time, apparently. Hello from Zanesville. Hey, CC Ryder. I get down that way sometimes. Andrew Smith. Any comments on eBid? eBid's okay depending on what you're selling, I guess. It's just like selling on Craigslist or Facebook. It depends on what you're selling. Most any platform comes down to what you're selling, in my opinion. Nobody can tell you that everybody's going to do good on any site you go on. It just depends on what you sell. That's bottom line. The next best thing after that depends on your keyword abilities and your titling abilities and your photoing abilities. So no matter where you go, those are all key factors no matter what. Again, eBid's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I think that's even on one of my top 10 lists somewhere down the line. It's not for me, though. I don't get enough leverage in the traffic-wise is my other concern. Look at the traffic reports. If you want to know any site, pull up Google Trend. Just do a trending even. This will be a basic enough to give you at least an idea. Go to Google Trends and then do pull up Amazon first. Then add and do a comparison. You can do 5 comparisons at a time. Pull up 5 more. Do Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Discogs, and then eBid, and then compare them and see where they fall. You can put Poshmark, whatever you want in there, but compare them and see where they fall. The trending pretty much follows the line of traffic. You can look at traffic on the trending and the whole works too. Again, I got a video showing you how to do that. I think if you just type in trending on my video list, you will find some of those videos. There's 2 of them, I'm sure. Darwin, Australia. Mishka likes. Well, welcome. I want to say that I've got a postmark. I've got a nice Australian stamp collection, actually. I think I've shown Duncan. I know I've shown some of it in a Patreon video. Annie, you've been lurking. Annie's got a good channel out there, too. Annie's been around for quite some time. Annie is actually my first mod ever. If you get a chance and you want to see some really interesting videos, I'd check Annie out also. She's like pretty much my go-to person on clothing styles and things like that. Usually she's better on those than me. She's really good on some of the paper, too, and stuff like that, too. So if you get a chance, check her out, too. Dr. Internet, learn so much from you. Still watch while I have eBay on hold, so out of sorts with COVID. Many stores closed, no sales in Northeast Michigan this full last year. Yeah, it depends. Now, let me put this out there too, because again, I'm not trying to get anybody upset or anything else like this. I buy stuff while it's dirt cheap in the summer, and I buy massive quantities. Um, I've weathered extremely well through this whole pandemic, and I'm not trying to belittle. We've lost some friends too, so I'm not trying to get anywhere going in any wrong direction. The when you do have a chance to buy stuff, and I know there's many people who don't, so this is just in general. This is just things that I've said 2 years ago. Buy it all you can. I buy in quantity for a very good reason, that I always have stuff. I don't have a death pile like people call it. It's backstock. If when I need to fill another slot and put something up, I've always got something sitting aside. Get it while you can. I guess that's the point of that. When you got the opportunity, that's when you need to jump on it. You know, summertime's always good. Obviously, the pandemic's killed that for many, many people. This is another reason why buying in bulk is a huge plus, because around here everything's closed too. I completely understand. We've been to Michigan real recently, and everything's closed up there. I know Northeast Michigan as well too. Lewiston, we've got cottages up. I've been to Mackinac many times, so I know the area up there. But the point is, get it while you can. Have enough backstock. Oh my gosh, I've got so much backstock. I gave away like 120 pounds of records last month, and I'm going to give away close to that this month. Just I've got so much inventory. It's just insane. Again, this isn't meant as a brag. This is what your goal should be. You should backstock. You need backstock. You need backstock, because you never know what's going to happen. This is the same thing as don't put all your eggs in one basket. And again, I'm not trying to belittle or anything to anybody here in the house at all. This is just business 101. This is business conversation. But anyway, we got 145 people in house. If you haven't hit the thumbs up and you're enjoying the conversation, please pop that thumbs up. I really like to get that at 100 mark. Let's see if we can't get that going up to 100. But anyway. Thank you, Dr. Internet, as well. Ellen Dean, how you doing? Hopefully I answered the HIP question. Just type in HIP postcard. That's one of the ones I use. There's 3 of them. Can you put up a link for HIP, please? That I can probably do. You'll have to give me just a second here. I know maybe it's a little different than me pronouncing it. Hang on just a second here. Let me get it where I've got, oops. Yeah, I've got a favorite play saved, so I'm trying to get you a straight link where it's not going to take you to somewhere where you have a dead link. Just a second. Here we go. One more second, and I'm going to pop one into the feed over here. This is a HIP link. It'll be at the very bottom. I don't know where I'm at in the feed. I know I'm always back behind. I think it popped it in there. Did it not? I'll pop it in one more time just to make sure I didn't miss it. But there we are. That should be a link at the bottom. HIP's been around for quite some time. They used to be... Oh, geez. I can't think of the name of the site they used to be. They bought out a stamp site. Kind of along the lines of Del Camp, which is another site that sells stamps and some paper items. If you don't know what Del Camp is, or Del Camp, it's one of my favorite places. I've got an account. It's a foreign site. But it works just fine. If you sell stamps, it's a necessity sometimes for IDing stuff if you're out in the wild and you can't take your 4-volume price guides with you to figure out what number you're looking up. HIP records, yeah, I don't know about HIP records. I think they're locked into the paper area, because that's what they've been known for all these years with stamps. But I got you, Marty. That would be interesting. Anytime, Marty, of course. Hey, Penny, how you doing, Penny? Pick and Pack and Pressman, how are you doing this evening? Let me pop on down. I've noticed that if you do volume pricing when it sells, it doesn't end the listing. It just says it's out of stock. That's probably the same basic principle. There may be some other caveat to that, so I haven't checked it out. I just use the zero quantity because it's a one-button click and I never have to worry about it. I've seen that on there. I don't play with a lot of the stuff eBay offers us. Most of the tools that they offer, I don't use a lot. I haven't used promoted payments or promoted listings in years now, 1.5 years, 2 years, whatever, since the big fiasco back then. I don't personally recommend it for anything other than clothing or flooded categories, in all honesty, either. I haven't even done a sale again since October, maybe. It was the last time I put any item on my store on sale. I'm sure I could sell a whole bunch more items if I rushed and put some sales out there, but I'm fine. I'd rather get the higher dollar and keep my value over the long run than mark them down below a certain point. Those all show up at some point in Terapeak, and I want the data to be strong. If you sell a whole bunch of stuff real cheap and other people try to do it too, eventually everybody's going to be looking at the solds, trying to compare prices, see what stuff's going for, and the sold price for a category slowly goes down. It's the race for the bottom. On Amazon, it's immediately noticeable, but on eBay, it takes time. I even brought this up to eBay with some of the things they allow on the site are diluting categories and lowering the value over time. I could prove it to them too, but they don't care. So, if you watch, this is a verifiable thing you can see. If everybody lowers prices and they keep trying to 2 cents under somebody else, it's a race to the bottom, and that's not me. I'd rather hold my ground and stand where I'm at and keep the value up on my items, especially if it's a category that I have a dominating factor in. If I've got if I'm the seller who has the most of that specific item in that category, I run that category more so than anything else, and that's the whole aspect of doing this. And I've come to that conclusion that that's the best way to be a powerhouse on eBay, is to dominate a category. You got to be the top dog or one of the top 5 or 10 dogs in that category, and then you rock it. I'm serious. That seems to be the case as we've advanced in categories through volume. That's what seems to happen. Again, I can chart this out. I can show you sales records to show you, and you can do the same thing as well just by looking at Terapeak and trying to get an idea. But anyway, where'd we go down to? Yeah, Amazon sellers, zero quantity listings are great for multi-quantity that you are replenishing because you keep your sales history, which can push you up in search results. That is very true. If you've got 1,000 of something and you're selling so many a day, it's going to be at the top of the list. If you run out of those, though, and that listing goes to sold, you've got to create a new listing. Whether it's sell similar or not, you still have to gain all that stuff back. I've got some that I add. I'll some of my personal artwork postcards and things like that I buy them in quantity so I know how many I have. I'll list 5 at a time, 10 at a time, or whatever the case may be. And when those go to 0, I add so many more. The solds still stay there, though. Why I do 5 or so at a time, what you end up seeing is that it'll show like 50 or 60 of those items sold. There's only 5 available. So it produces a sense of urgency to say, hey, I better buy them. They're only down to 5 now. And when it gets down to a certain point, too, I think eBay still sends out, or there's a notice that says only so many left, running out, or something like that, I think is what it says on there. So, you can play that a little bit too. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You can list 5 at a time. That's what companies do, big companies. It's in the playbook of, if you go to like marketing and sales 101 in college, it's gonna discuss stuff like that. There's no, I'm not marketing on sale. I'm not inflating a price. It's the same price. You can add quantity anytime you want. So, there's nothing immoral or unpatriotic or whatever you want to call it about doing something like that. That's business 101. That's corporate America. You've got to be, I'll say this, and I don't say stuff like this very often, but you got to be cutthroat some sort to make it. Because if you're not, the guy trying to beat you and to be better at you and get your sales is going to do it. There's only so far I would go. I've never break any rules or anything else like that. Some things I would never do, but stuff like that it's an open game. This is a playing field. We all have to figure out how to get our stuff to the top of that playing field, and that's one ploy you can do. It works. Trust me, it works. I've got listings up like that. Shows 50, 60, 70 items sold, and I've only got 3 left. Oh, geez, if first time a person sees it, they may be a little concerned. It's down to 3. Man, they sold a whole bunch of them. I better buy it. And the more you sell, the more you do this, the more readily somebody's going to say, wow, now 70 have sold. There's only 2 left now. 80 sold, 100 sold, whatever the case may be. That works with quantity. It produces a sense of urgency to buy it. It's a marketing gimmick, just like using 99 cents versus $1 or $9.99 versus $10. It brings the digits down to 3 digits versus 4. It's an appearance, $10 or $9, which is cheaper. Most people, again, there's studies and all this stuff. Most people look at the 10. Compare it to the 9. Well, 9's smaller. They don't look at what's after that usually. They're just looking at dollar, a bill. They're not thinking about the change most of the time. And this is like last minute shopping, why they put things at the cash register. If you compare stuff at a cash register, sometimes they're blowouts, but most of the time a cash register, a box sitting on the counter has a high profit margin. That's usually what you would do. I'd put the high profit margin items around the registers. They'd be last minute things that you, like if you've got your brand versus someone else's brand. Your brand's going at the counter because you get more money out of it. It's product placement as well. There's all kinds of things tied to all this sort of thing, but I know I kind of went off topic, I'm sure, but Good Friday from Queensland. Pitter Patter 100. Interesting name. The Pitter Patter of Little Feet. Greg Sanders. Well, welcome, Greg. How you doing? Ponce Gomez. Invoicing features seems hard for customers to find. Do you think eBay will change this in time in the future? eBay should have had that years ago in my book. I know for those just popping on and who don't have a lot of business experience, and again, this isn't a cut or anything else like that. There's always a first time walking in and anywhere. You got to learn stuff. If once you know this stuff, though, it's pretty easy to pull whatever you need. You get your reconciliation sheets like on PayPal. If you just pull off your 1099 or 1098, whatever the heck it's called, your printout that shows, all 1099, you don't pull off the reconciliation sheet, you're already screwed up for your taxes instantly because you're not reconciling chargebacks. Your 1099 only shows your money collected. It doesn't show money you were forced to pay out, returns, chargebacks, or any of that fraud or any of that stuff. If you don't print that other sheet, you could be thousands off at the end of the year. And I don't know. I've talked to a bunch of resellers, and no one seems to know that. That's why I personally feel eBay should put it very readily available, a tab that has everything broken down in a clear receipt basis. Shows it like a receipt and shows all your charges and all your credits and lines them up on. That would be my personal opinion. Something simple and easy that you could print out one sheet and it showed week by week or whatever else like that. A workbook would be better where you could have like a page for each week and then a combined page with a P&L for the month. That's what they should do in my book, but most companies charge that as a service. My guess, who knows, maybe eBay at some point will do like the Shopify add-on. You want accounting stuff built in, you do this. With Shopify, what I think, or is it one of them, GoDaddy or something, I think is in partnership with them or something. But anyway, I think they should make it much easier for those who don't understand all the ins and outs on the business aspect of it personally. Since they're the payment processor, they can stick out and put in the reconciliation all together and have everything in one little spot. It would not be very complicated. I could do it with Visual Basic myself in probably an evening. Figure out how to, I personally could do that, for them, but I don't know why they couldn't do it. I don't know why it would be so complicated. Everything should roll to, specific servers. Everything should be broken down. If you can see your sold items, they should be able to put those all into a sheet that explains it all financially, in my opinion. Because if I can download I can download my sales history on a CSV file, and I can do that myself if I wanted to. They should be able to do it very easily. You can go and look at every dime in your account. You can look at what all your fees for any item you want at any time as well too, and it'll show you every penny going in and out from that one listing. They should be able to tie that all together much easier. I haven't looked at the new form because I was okay with the way it was done before, just because that's how it's always been done in business world. I've always just pulled sheets from here and had to combine them together in a P&L, but I think they should most definitely make it much easier and make it something readily available instead of even hunting and pecking even for a second. It would make people a lot happier. They would feel like they're getting at least something back from eBay for all the increased changes and the BS and the bad moves they make. At least be something. Just like Terapeak, they told us you'd be able to look and zoom over a thumb of a over 90-day image, and that all went away. It was there for a very short period of time. Now you can't touch any images or anything. You can't blow them up to even see what the item is if the item is over 90 days on any Terapeak that I can see. And that feature makes most of the listings, unless you already know exactly what you're looking at, with that tiny little image, it makes it useless. You'd have to blow it way, way up and then shrink it back down for every item to figure out. It's just not feasible. You know, you never know what eBay is going to do. They give you the feature, 3 months down the road, it's already gone. A lot of people, you know, were told you'd make less, you know, the difference between PayPal with managed payments, you'd save 0.2 or so. We're about 0.2, but they were told, you know, it would be cheaper. Well, they've already increased it on the next one, so people aren't even in managed payments, and they're already the same thing as PayPal or paying a little more once they get into it. So, you know, they've got to think about that. You can't preach that it's going to be cheaper for most and then not put people in it until after you've raised the price, so now it's not cheaper. So anyway, let me say this too, because a lot of people get into this, but eBay is still worth money any day of the week. You know, for the amount of money I spend on eBay, I'm still making an extreme amount of profit. I know to some people, you know, you're crazy. The fees are 13%. I can't get a brick and mortar, advertise, get views, get people in my store, and handle taxes and paying sales tax and everything for 13% anywhere on the globe. You'd have to have an infrastructure and everything else. It's a cheap alternative. You know, it's just the facts in mind, because again, we sell things that make us a set amount of profit. If you're losing, you know, by the 13% fees, you're selling the wrong items. You know, I hate to say that, but that's my take on it. You know, with the items that we weren't making enough money, I stopped selling and I moved to something else. It took me a little time to figure it out, but I did it and off we went. Let's see, where are we at? Mike Calla, I would go back. I spent like 5 minutes on that one. It's up there. If you go back, I did cover it. You can replay any of the video too. You just make a time marker from where we're at now as to where it was discussed, and you should be able to go right back to where we were. Joan Machado, how are you doing? Our platform definitely own us, no doubt. One specific platform will definitely own you because they can shut you down instantly. But if you are on multiple platforms, eBay can't tell Amazon to shut you down. They can't tell HIP to shut you down. They can't tell anybody else to shut you down. You have to mess up on those other platforms. So spreading your business across multiple platforms is really honestly the best bet. Again, I wouldn't do it until you've got enough items to make it worth your while to learn the other platforms. You don't want to just pump your stuff out to another platform and have no idea how it works. Some items that you can sell on eBay, you can't sell on Amazon at all. They will get you dinged. They could get you shut down instantly. Amazon is way more forgiving if you've been on for years, as opposed to just coming on and making some simpleton mistake. They'll censure you. They'll slap you on the wrist right off the bat. You know, they could shut you down instantly, and I've seen it on a couple occasions. Don't be afraid by that. They're much easier if you follow the rules and you look into it ahead of time. Know the site, otherwise you can get yourself kicked off real easily. Lots of things on any site that could get you kicked off. So just be careful on it. Flippin' Ohio. Don, do you sell on FB Marketplace, not local, but do you ship? I don't rarely ship anything through Facebook Marketplace. I do have a storefront. We do have all this stuff. It's linked up. In fact, I got it because of Shopify, because you can pump out your Shopify to Facebook Marketplace, FYI. So I could link Facebook Marketplace items to my eBay store items. And when they sell on there, Shopify will take care of them for you. We have a Instagram account too, a Marketplace Instagram too. Anyway. Marketplace, again, for locals is probably the only real thing that I would use it for, because there's not enough views overall to ship for most of the stuff I see in Facebook for what I sell. The antiques and collectibles market for what I sell, again, this is just me. I don't know what everybody else sells, so I can't speak on that. But the market for what I sell is not there for me to use it for those items. But for local items, I've done extremely well. In fact, I bought one and I've bought two more since then. I bought some old church podiums from like the 1890s. Really fancy hand-carved wood and everything else like that. You can see them in one of my Weebles videos. That podium is a real podium that I own from the 1890s or so. Victorian all the way, but we sold them on Craigslist for some really good money. More than I would have gotten on eBay. You know, and it was pick up local. I had the money and I was done. No big fees or anything else like that. And it was done. We did it in a public place. police station. Just FYI, I don't do it anywhere else these days. I've done it a few times at the library, but it's just like Craigslist, basically. You know, Craigslist, I used to buy from it, and then we've listed things on there too. I wouldn't mess with either one of those other than locally for certain things. Now, if you've got like some hot Christmas items or something like that from Facebook Marketplace, you might do okay. The problem with Facebook, in my opinion, is getting the views to the item. You know, that's the biggest thing. I know a lot of people will help push stuff out and, you know, do marketing to friends and family and people who are friends and stuff. I'm not that type. I don't like doing that. I'm just, nothing wrong with it. It's just not me. I don't ever like to market to friends or people I'm helping, I guess. Part of the reason I don't advertise my store in here, it's just not me. I feel sometimes like I'm a circus barker or something. I don't know. It's just nothing, no offense to anybody. It's just me. I know I'm weird, so that's one of my pet peeves, I guess. But yes, I have sold on FB Marketplace and Craigslist as well. I've tried most everything, and if I didn't get results, I don't do it anymore. Ruby Lane, same thing. Bonanza, same thing. What do you know about chargebacks under canceled subscription or canceled pre-approved payment from a buyer who regretted purchase after item value plummeted? He first tried to request a refund on eBay a month after purchase and declined as I had no returns, and a month after that he started the chargeback. It was on an item that was sold for $4K and is now worth, I'm sorry, my Kenji, hopefully I pronounced that right, is worth $2,000. If he does a chargeback, I got a video, I just did a video on that actually. If he does a chargeback on it that way, and you can prove that it was delivered, you should have a signature confirmation. You have to have a signature confirmation. If all of that was posted up prior to him opening the case, the chargeback, you should be covered through eBay's seller protection. That's what it says on there, and that's what they told me when I investigated the issue with 2 chargeback attempts we have right now. That would be my personal opinion on that. If you don't have a return policy, it was past any length that eBay would step into, you should be safe all the way around on that. Would be my opinion. How did they put it? Cancel subscription or cancel pre-approved payment? I haven't seen that one even listed on there. There's probably some other note. I'd have to see what that literally says on there. It sounds like they're trying to go about it a long way. If they didn't cancel it properly either, it will go in your benefit because it's going to look like they're trying to pull a fast one to their own company, whoever their payment provider is. I wouldn't freak out or worry about that one as of yet, truthfully. Just by what it says on there. You didn't do anything wrong, that you've got proof with signature confirmation that they 100% got the item. That would be my take on it. Now, if they opened up a case and said it wasn't as described, that's a totally different story. They didn't do that, apparently. So from what it looks like, from what I see in there, and from what I've understood from eBay, you should be safe, I would say. Again, if you're enjoying the conversation, please hit the like button down there. We're 156 people in house, 84 thumbs up, 16 more, and we hit that 100 mark up there. Annie's famous. Yes, you are, Annie. Usually I kind of mention Annie if I can't figure out the clothing, and usually she's got the right answer right off the bat. Is there a great site to look up great button finds? Are you talking about, Rose, like pricing them or identifying them? The big book of buttons is the one book that you would want for that, but it's like a $400 book. You can get it from a library. That would be my personal opinion, and take it out as long as you can and look through the pages like 20 times. That's what I would honestly recommend, personally. Site-wise, for buttons myself, I've got like $1,500 in price guides that I need, and then I've got 10 or 15 sites that I use as well. Each site has a different aspect of buttons. We're talking about clothing buttons here, at least. That's what I'm talking about. Sweeps. Dan Sweeps. A customer requests a refund on an item before I shipped it, and I did it, but now I can't find my listing in my store. I'm taking he requested a cancellation, which instigated the refund, would be my guess. If that is the case, before I shipped it, that would be my guess because it's before you shipped it. It would go in your sold listings. You'd have to go to your sold listings. You would hit sell similar to create a new listing, and then you would archive that sold so it doesn't show up in your running tally on your items sold page. That's what you should do in my book. Just FYI, that would bring it back. That's probably what happened, because it'll just show, if you canceled it, it's going to show canceled next to it. If you want to search real quick and you got a whole bunch of sales, just go up to the top of the sold page, search by canceled, and you'll be able to find it that way too. Backstock is always good. Yes, it is. We're going to cut it off here in just a couple minutes because I'm a little, well, we'll go for, say, another 5 or 10. I've been sluggish on that count. I had a ton of design work to do. Annie's been busy. Walton. Hey, Crystal Walters, how are you doing? The contest is going to be in Patreon, just FYI. Just because I don't have to worry as much about anything else like that. Everybody in Patreon is invested in what they're doing, I guess is the point. Backstock has gotten me through the past year with a few exceptions. Backstock, I could stop sourcing for a couple of years, and I'm not exaggerating. I am in no freaking way, as the wife said, no freaking way exaggerating on that at all. We've got enough backstock. I could list probably till retirement if I wanted to myself, with no help if I wanted to. I've got a lot, and I still buy it just because I don't want to lose contacts. It's the only reason I keep buying it, because I don't want to lose contacts. If they got something good, I'm going to buy it and just stuff it back in there. It's not, I could always sell it to somebody else if I really wanted to, you know. Thank you, David Mueller. Oh, yeah, there's the links there. George, do you recommend buying Amazon return pallets? We've bought 2 pallets before. It's the only 2 I've had results with. We did one from bulk once too. That was all flea and tick medicine. Now we sold every single whole half a pallet. It was a 4-foot tall bin. Every one was gone. You gotta get certified for that. We went through a program on Amazon to get our hazardous cert through whatever you want to call it. But anyway, I've seen a few pallet unboxing videos on Amazon. It's hit or miss. You know, I'm not willing to do that much and worry about stuff getting shipped out and being damaged and stuff like that. Most of it would have to go on eBay. Some of the items that are Amazon returns can't be relisted on Amazon at all. So even if it's something that's good, you may not be able to sell it on there. There could be some gated items. So they're risky in my opinion now. I've seen some ones that were just terrible lots. I know people sometimes buy 10, 15 of these things. I've seen people pointing me to videos. I didn't watch the videos, but the point of it is it's potluck. I see a lot of people doing the videos on those pallets. I personally, you know, somebody's probably going to hate me for saying this, but I think a lot of the folks who do those videos are probably making the money from the video and not necessarily selling the pallet goods. Or they may use the video to sell the pallet goods. You know, I've seen a few that they were obviously making the money from the video, not from the pallet stuff, because there wasn't much value in the pallets. I wouldn't keep buying pallets if the pallets were as bad as I've seen some. So it leads me to say that the money's coming from the video and not the pallet. You know, that's just my take. I don't think I would grab pallets like that. I would do more wholesale palleting and stuff like that if I was going to do a pallet. Targeted, I wouldn't want to do random items where I don't know. I don't buy anything unless I know I'm going to make a profit. End of story. End of story. If I'm doubting it, and I'll use my gut instinct at the end. If I'm doubting it that much, I just won't buy it. If I can't get a hit on the phone while I'm out, or there's no signal or something, and I can't confirm that there's value, I'll pass it up. If I lose, I lose. Unless it's like $10 and there's a van load of stuff. You know, something like that would be stupid not to take. I wouldn't mind just dumping it off somewhere if I couldn't sell it anyway. So, anyway. You're welcome, Dr. Internet. Retrohead. Hey, Don, I know you have said it before, but could you tell me again what type of scanner you use? An Epson DS, what's it, a 510, I think, or 540? I think it's a 510. It's a Epson DS 510. I think that is what it is. It's a duplex scanner. New, they're like $556. You can get a used one with all the cords for around $100 shipped to your house. We've got a couple of them, actually. I liked it so much, and if something happened, I got it while I saw one cheap, so I have a backup. I have a backup of most everything: cameras, microphones, tons of laptops, backup of everything if something happens. We've got multiple power supplies now too, so if the power goes out, I can run it here in the house without having to, do a converter in the car anymore. We've got units that I can carry that will power one of our laptops for hours, and it will power a laptop and the printer at the same time, so I can print. I just have to unplug my printer and plug it straight in because Wi-Fi would be down, but I could print, and I could use my phone to as a hotspot, and then I could still run my business with no power, phone down as well too, as long as the south towers are up. I thought about that, because I've lived through a hurricane and no power and stuff too. Hopefully it answers it. Heyday the Small, glad to catch you live. You're encouraging to new resellers. Well, thank you very kindly. Check out your Patreon. I got to learn the paperwork. eBay doesn't seem user friendly. eBay is 100 times more user-friendly than when it was when we first started. It used to take like 3 or 4 pages to list any item. And even the quicker lister was 2 pages, and then you had to do a whole bunch of stuff. If you're hopping on now, I guess maybe, but I've been on since day one pretty much on eBay, since they were called eBay the same year. It took a long time to list. You had to really be wanting to do it to get stuff up back in those days. There was no place to upload a photo to eBay, so you had to know HTML coding for image insertion, IMG, SRC, and the whole works. You had to know all that, and you had to have a space to upload your photos to be able to use those links in the first place. That's why I know HTML, at least all the basics I learned from eBay. You had to know them. You had to be able to do that. And that's why I started it in that way. But anyway, it's simplified compared to what it used to be. I promise you, it's like a piece of cake compared to what it used to be. For me, it's sell similar. If I'm going to list something on eBay, I click sell similar from one that I'm already in the same category, same everything. All I do is change the title. Sometimes it's only a couple of words in the title. I upload the photo. Condition, if there's a little condition, only in the condition box, and then the price. That's all I change on the listing. It's like a minute or less for me to do a listing in that case. It depends on photos, if eBay's running slow or something else like that, but it's a fairly, at least for me, it's a fairly painless process to get them up there. Again, I got a video. You can see me list like 20 listings in like 20 minutes or something like that. Enough to say that I could list 45 or better listings in an hour paper-wise. I was rushing. I missed a few things here and there, but I was just trying to give you an example. If I'm just sitting here with the music blaring and I'm in my own little world, I don't make mistakes like that. It's like I'm like a robot when I'm doing that. You kind of get lost in your work. Glad to have you though, Heyday. I run my business. The platforms are a tool. If they ain't working, switch. Find another way. The crazy card. You still are stuck with the platforms either way you go. I mean, you run it technically, but at the end of the day, someone can shut you off on almost any platform you're on, I guess, is my take on that. That's why not tying yourself to one platform, having yourself on multiple platforms at the same time. So if one takes a dive at you, just switch all your business and effort into another platform that you already have running to build that one back up then. So it gives you many different options, I guess, would be the point there. Let me pop on down just a little bit more. Thanks, Anthony. Stephen Holton, I take it you are a stamp collector. I've been collecting for 52 years, well over 1 million stamps. I probably have close to 1 million, maybe more than that. I don't know. I got a whole shelf and boxes of them. Because I buy them in bulk. I'll buy big collections and many times. I bought pallets of stamps before, even literally pallets of stamps, and then supplies. I bought out a stamp store a couple of times. I collected stamps since the 70s probably. In Boy Scouts, I even had the Boy Scout stamp merit badge, and then I actually was the Scoutmaster, and I did merit badge for everybody in our district. I was the guy you'd have to go to if you wanted to get your badge. But anyway. Hang on just a second here. I'm going to end it in just a couple minutes here. Why are auctions on eBay more like proxy bid, the countdown and ad time if people are bidding? They don't add time that I'm aware of on eBay on an auction. If they do, that's a new feature to me. I have no idea on that one. I've never seen that. We are going to run a couple auctions, so you might see a few auctions. I do usually have like 75 to 100 auctions running of just cheapo I want to blow out. We sell some every time I do it, so it's not killing anything. It's just using up the freebies. Auctions are a thing of the past for the most part, though, in my book. You'll far do better as a bin, buy it now option with a BO best offer than you ever do on auctions for probably 90%, 95% of everything that's out there to sell. Just my take on it. Some of the rare stuff does better on auction, of course, like slabbed comics, slab things like that, cards, because they'll fight over this, especially if it's like a 9.9 or a 10 grade, a gem mint 10 or something. You know, those things go crazy for just common cards and stuff, or common mags and stuff like that. Let's cut it off here. It's running a little late. I watch my eye time in front of the screen, but I do appreciate everybody coming on. I tried to get to a bunch of questions. It looks like I got to more than I usually do. I do thank everybody on. We're 160 some odd in house. If you are enjoying it and you haven't hit the thumbs up before I sign off, please hit that thumbs up there. If you're enjoying the conversation, I'm sorry if I didn't get to your comments or questions. I do try to go straight on through. I don't skip or miss. If you're on early, you'll get your questions answered for sure, because I always at least try to answer after the initial discussion. If you missed anything or there was something else, again, this will be available after the show, so you can pretty much watch any part you want. Just write down the time frame that it's up, and you can pretty much see any part of it as well. New video coming up. I got one that I've shot, and I just been bouncing it around because of questions. I got one on a toy site that it's going to be here up on YouTube. The toy site is an international one. It's one of the biggest ones in Europe. But I'm going to show you a secret that will help you even on eBay with that toy site, and give you some very helpful things if you're into toys at all. Vintage toys, rare toys. This has been a little bit of a help for us on many, many things. So that'll be in there. I'll show you some reasons why I know for fact the information I'm giving you is true. We've dealt with this company, so I'll show you some items from them as well. So anyway, that's about it for today. If I get a chance, I'll see if I can get to some more Patreon emails and questions. Either way, I'll have them done probably by noon tomorrow. Either way we go. Again, I've got some stuff to do, and I want to get everything done before my appointment tomorrow. So I do appreciate everybody coming on. I thank everybody for the super chats and spending some time with us here. So hopefully you have a good evening, and I thank you very kindly.